Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hello, listener. It's Lara Jane again, and I am here with an amazing woman. I have known Nicole for the last few months and just been so impressed with her. And the other day, she made a post on Facebook, and I said, Nicole, you have to come talk to my audience about this. It is so amazing. But if you find as much love for Nicole as I did, all of her information is in the show notes, and you can contact her. You know how to get a hold of her. But for now, Nicole and I are going to chat about words and the words we choose and how we use them and how they fit in our energy and are trapped in our energy field. And so it can be for good or for bad. So Nicole, share us this amazing download you got with us, this download. And I'm just so excited to chat about it.
And I'm so happy to be here. So thank you for having me on your podcast. I was really impressed that you got a hold of me and told me that. That was really special that you contacted me about this, because this was probably one of the most interesting downloads I'd ever had. And there are 2 times during the day I really try to just remain in silence or allow my guides to speak with me, through me, or show me what I need to see. And one is at night, right before I go to sleep, because what you are is you're in your theta state. So your subconscious will pick it up. And the other one is early morning when I'm just waking up. And it was really interesting because that morning I woke up and I saw a vision. And what this vision was, it was me surrounded by all these words. And so as I'm sitting there seeing this, I start getting this download, and it's about the power of words. And as you know, we chatter all day long. Our brain always chatters. And for some reason, oftentimes we're very, very hard on ourselves. And so our words are very, very important. So what they were telling me is, because we have this etheric field around our bodies, some of us can see it, some of us can't, that every word we use will stick in our field. So we don't even realize it, but if we've told ourselves something, and I'm going to reference my dad for this, I'll hear him talking and say, oh, David, you're so stupid. And I'm like, Dad, don't be self-depreciating. I said, because anything you're thinking is going to transpire. And I realized then what he's saying is sticking in his field. And so it's affecting him on a daily basis. So what I heard was, everything that you say, positive or negative, is sticking in your field. So it's very, very important to be very kind to yourself. Be very gentle with yourself. We have good days and we have bad days. But overall, it's just a learning process. It's not something to where you have to condemn yourself with these messages that you're getting. And so what I tell people is, I say, for every negative thing you say, you have to say something positive. You know, if you say, gosh, I'm stupid. No, you're not. You're very, very smart. You might have done something that you didn't know, that you don't agree with, or didn't turn out correctly. But you're not stupid. You don't want that word lingering in there, affecting you on a daily basis. So I asked my guides, I'm like, what do you do if you've been very self-depreciating and you've got all these negative words in you? And what I was told is that what happens is those are very lower vibrational words that stick in there. No matter what you say, it is going to stick in there. I said, well, how do you clear your field? How do you get that out? And they said exactly what I was telling you. Replace them with high vibrational words. You know, for dumb, replace smart. For sad, replace happy. And because everything's in your field, those words that you start saying, the positive words, the high vibrational words, what they will do is with their vibration, they're going to get those other words out of your field because they're so high vibrational. The other words will just, I guess, go by the wayside, you would call it. But what they're doing is they're pushing it out of your field. So the more you talk positive to yourself, the more you say good things about yourself, it's doing two things for you. You're going to have that in your field and you're going to feel it in your body. But what happens after you start feeling that vibration from those words, you're going to start acting on those and you're going to feel more positive. You know, when you say something like, I'm really smart, all of a sudden you're vibrating at a higher level where things are going to start coming to you, ideas or things that you can create. And it's all coming from your words that you say. That's how important your words are. So what I started telling people is you've got to start complimenting yourself. And that's part of self-love, is when you love yourself enough, you're going to be gentle with yourself. And sure, we all do things wrong. All the time, I'm like, oh, why did you do that? You knew better. And then I just replace it. Well, what did you learn from it? What did you learn from it? And so I'm replacing it with something very positive. So while I'm doing that, my positivity, which is high vibrational, is clearing my field of all those negative words. And then when you start becoming very positive about everything, it changes your demeanor. It changes the way you speak. It changes the way you think. And anything you're thinking about is going to come to fruition. That's just how it works. That's the law of the universe. So if you're thinking, I want this, and very positive about it, the universe will hear that. And you can say it out loud, and they start acting on it for you and start bringing it to you. You don't want those negative things in your field that they're going to bring you sadness or despair or anger. You want everything positive in that field so they can start bringing you this life that you deserve. We all deserve a life like that. So that, and what I said was, I don't know if that's scientific or not. All I know is that it made sense to me. I'd never heard that before. But when it was explained to me like that, I thought, well, that makes sense because everything's a vibration. So that higher vibration, and I thought about this too. When you use sound and sand, if you watch the sand, it'll move out. It'll get larger. Mm-hmm. It'll change. And I thought that's what it's doing. Is those positive words are clearing our field of anything negative and allowing us the room to refill it with everything positive, which is going to change everything for us. You're going to start feeling good. You're going to be, you're happy. And you don't have to know why you're happy. It was like, well, why am I happy? Why am I sad? It doesn't matter. Just be happy. And then all of a sudden you start bringing self-love into it, and you bring gratitude into it, and you wake up, with this heart full of love. It's really amazing transformation. And it's all done by you, for you, with the words you choose.
I love it because that's my whole message. I have my Monday episodes, what are a challenge, and it's just taking two words. Here we used, I can't, and here is, I'm learning. What is it that I can change to not feel stuck? I just, the words sometimes just make you feel like you can't move forward. Or I think you and I were talking, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted, to I'm experiencing exhaustion. Because it's okay to experience it, but you are not it.
Right.
And it's how we frame that in our self-talk that you don't, if I'm experiencing it, I'm not going to be that way tomorrow. Or, oh my gosh, that trip just exhausted me. Well, it was exhilarating. I put in the effort and the time, and I'm exhilarated, and it was fun. And now my body's recouping. Yes. Allow our bodies to take in and process. It's like anything else. You put in ingredients and you put them together and you put them in the oven and you get a casserole. But there's steps and processes. And sometimes you've got to be in the heat to produce what's going to come on the outside and what's going to happen after. And so to me, words are everything. I know there's other things too, but if I can just change the way I think about it, I will do better. And
exactly.
There's people who use the cancel council or the light, or, what is it when I say that word? My favorite is stop. Like I will be in a conversation. Oh, I've even done it on my podcast. Wait, that was limiting. That was the wrong phrase, because we're so ingrained with our style of talking from our whole childhood. We were taught how to talk and what words to choose and which words mean what. But guess what? We can change it. You don't have to be your upbringing. You can be more than that.
Well, and what's so interesting is we've been conditioned for so long, like you said, from the time we're in kindergarten, having to raise our hand to speak. And, back when I was going to school, if you did something wrong or they didn't like what you said, you could be punished for what you said. And so that part of conditioning was really hard as I got older. But then I learned something very interesting, because words cast a spell. That's why we call it spelling. And then I thought, I've got to be very careful with what I say. I don't want to be negative, because if I say something derogatory about somebody, well, that's casting a spell. But also, because of the laws of the universe, anything you cast out has to come back. So when I realized that, it was like, I don't want those things. I don't want judgment coming back to me. Some of the words I used to use, and I call it my other life. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that to someone now that I realize the importance of how they feel, but I also don't want it coming back to me to intrude on my positivity. And I'll tell you two things I do at those same times before I go to bed and right before I'm really waking up. As I say, for every problem, I will find a solution. I say that, and I just know that will happen. And every problem, there's a solution. I can't even remember the other one. It'll come back to me. So
brain fog.
Yeah. Yeah, really. It's like I have to use my words carefully, because I will forget them. For every problem, there's a solution, but you will create that. And when you put it out in the universe will work with you to bring you the solution to the problem. For every question, there's an answer. That's what it was. Because a lot of times I'll get hung up during the day, and it will be just like, no, you put it out there that you're going to have the answer. So sometimes I'll just to recharge for a few minutes, I'll go lay down on the couch and put my hands on my heart, because that's your true center. Mm-hmm. And I'll just say, bring me the answer, bring me the solution. And more often than not, they come very easily. And then it's like, why didn't I think of that? And I knew it's a higher source giving me that.
And it doesn't have to be that silentness either. So I have found I've asked questions, and not, you just go on with life. And then all of a sudden you're in the grocery store line and the people next to you are answering your question. It's like, oh my gosh, if you don't feel like you're in tune with that spirit and you're hearing it, you will hear it somewhere. It may be from a friend or from a complete stranger that's speaking the words you asked for. And it's being open to it and listening for it and just allowing it to come in.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about, even you can call that manifesting. And the thing is, just state what you want, put your words out there, but get out of the way. Don't have an outcome in mind. Just if it's from that stranger in the grocery store, that's okay. Just get out of your own way is the best thing I can say, and let it happen, because there's a source higher than you out there.
Right. And I get wisdom from, I think, everybody. And I literally mean everybody. There is something anybody in this world can teach and help me grow from. And my granddaughter is one of those that just like always getting wisdom from her. She taught me how to turn down opportunity, or not an opportunity. It's like, will you go this place with me? How to turn that down and not still be authentic to you, but not hurt the other person's feelings. Because, we still have to love and care how that you don't just slap someone down because they said something stupid. You have to allow them. And that's my interpretation of what they said. There's no stupid. So it's how I reacted to it that felt different to me. And so you have to allow people to be them.
Yes.
And that allows you to be you. And
exactly. And I learned, one of the things I learned after my divorce, because it was a very painful divorce, he just was very disrespectful to me many, many times. And I started feeling, a little bit low, a little bit, you're uneducated, you're untrained. And I read the 4 Agreements. And the most important one to me was one of my
favorite books.
Isn't it wonderful? And when I read about take nothing personally, that however they feel, whatever they say, however they act, that's totally about them. That's not about me. That's not about you. That's about them. And it was that light bulb moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not that uneducated and untrained. Maybe I do have redeeming qualities. And that was kind of like the broom I needed to sweep up the dust, to clear my path, to really move forward with this, what I believe in and truly think I was meant to do, right. To help people realize how important they are, their immense power, how special we are, and how different we all are. And that's so
goodness.
Important.
It's, if everybody was just like me or you, or the person I love the most or respect, if everybody's like that, it wouldn't be special. It would just be the same. And I love the specialness in everybody.
Oh, I do too. And I always say, there's only one of us and we're it. That fingerprint right here. We're all different, and we're different for a reason. It's like you said, how boring would everything be if we were, just the clones running around with same personality, same conversation? It would be no fun at all. And, if you listen, and it doesn't mean you have to agree with everybody, but if you listen to someone instead of getting that ego fired up to where all of a sudden you want to be right and you're angry because that's not your belief. Sometimes if you just listen and let it settle for a while, there might be a little seed there, or there might be something that you're like, wow, I never thought of that. So why are we so prone to fight for our opinions and be mean to others and put them down and want to, I watch people even at ball games fighting because their team didn't win. I'm like, what is this? This is crazy. I've learned so much from people, so much.
It's that ego. It's that I need to feel important. And when you can let go of that ego, it's okay to be wrong or in somebody else's eyes. It's okay to be different. It's not. Well, for me, letting go of ego was not an easy process.
You're right, it's not.
And I do know some people that have been able to, Katie Byron Katie. Have you read her books? She was instantly back into just done, ego gone. It's like, what a beautiful story. But she did have to adjust back to living with other people with egos. Like, how do you make this balance? So there was, like you mentioned, the 4 Agreements. There's a handful of books that have just made my life different. And the first one was a business book. It was Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that was before I tapped into or accept my spirituality. And it changed my life his principles and his seek first to understand, sharpen the saw, the emotional bank account, all, start with the end in mind. All these things are things so spiritual. They're not just business. And then the 4 agreements, and then they have the follow-up that's the 5th agreement. So if you only are going to read one of the books, I would go with the 5th agreement because it goes through all the 4, and then hits the 5th one also. And that one changed my life. It's just all of a sudden realizing we're all our own director of our own movie. And even though we are in a scene together, we are playing our own roles. And, that learning to be authentic and using your words to be true to yourself. And I could go on with other books and other things. And you talked a lot about vibrations. And there's a couple books out there that really talk about what vibration, different words and different things are. And one of them, levels, I can't even remember the name of it. Well, one of them is Levels of Something by, brain fog. I will don't even worry about it. I'll find the books and they'll be in the show notes. So
Perfect.
In case you want to do it, but the one is very technical and very hard to understand because he's a professor writing his thesis. And the other one is very easy and flowing. So I shouldn't say hard to understand. For me, the words he used were above what I had learned vocabulary wise. Mm-hmm. And so it was very hard for me to listen to because I was always, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah. And sometimes you're just ready for a certain book.
Yeah.
I had picked up the Celestine Prophecy.
Oh, I love that book too.
Like I actually met James Redfield. And I was there. I have tons of signed books, but he said, have you read? I bought a copy and then I had an extra copy, which I'd bought. He says, have you read it yet? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I haven't. He goes, oh, don't be sorry. He says, when it's on your timeline, when it's your time, you will read it and understand it. And literally about 5 years later, I picked it up and it just made sense. It just made sense.
For those of you that like to watch the movie instead of the book, this one doesn't do it justice. The movie does not give you the same value. It gives you an overview. Go ahead and watch it and then decide if you want to read the book. But the book is so powerful and so amazing that you just like, oh my gosh, I love it. And it's novel style, where a lot of people prefer the novel style. My personal preference is the self-help, very instructional kind of work.
Teach me. Guide me.
Just give me what to do and I'm on it. I don't need the story. But it is very entertaining and it is a very good book. So yes.
Agreed.
I've often thought about doing adding a podcast and just doing a monthly book review and just like, okay, this is the book I read this month, and this is why, if you're ready for it, you should read it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When you're ready, you'll feel it, you'll know it, you'll be drawn to it, just like everything else. It will get you there. If it's meant for you at that time, you will know.
The universe has the best timing. It really, growing up, I was always told, or, the religion I grew up in, you will never be given a challenge that you are not strong enough to handle. And I used to say, I'm a really weak person because my life's been really easy. But I think technically I have the same stories that everybody else, the rapes, the abuse, the really hard kids to deal with. But every one of those things was a blessing. Because I can take those things and go, look who I am today because of them. Because I had to dig deep and be me instead of this little puppet that's supposed to do everything else.
And look how spectacular you are.
Oh, yes.
You glow, you speak, you interview, you're teaching others. I mean, when you surrender, after you've healed and surrender, look what you've done with yourself. I mean, it's amazing.
But it's all of us. And I tell people, the podcast's not about me. It's about you and our listener. And it's, if you can take that crap and turn it into that thing that propels you into a better you, do it.
Yes, agreed.
I've tried, and people always say, oh, I wish such and such hadn't happened, or I wish, like, stop. Learn from it and move on. And
exactly. What did you learn? What did you learn? And then if you really want to get deep, we script our lives before we come here to learn these lessons, learn, because we're eventually, we get to that point where we make a difference.
My husband will argue that point, though. He says, there is no way I picked my mom. There is no way I wouldn't do it.
Family is our hardest lesson. Family is our hardest lesson.
And I just always giggle because, he's gone through the same spiritual change as I have. And that's the one thing he's just like, there's just no, even though he knows it and he knows that he's learned. And he says, I hope I have learned from this so I don't go through this again. But still, there's struggles that it would have been nice not to have. But look who we are.
Yes. Yes. So and, for someone who was uneducated and untrained, I look back on my path getting here, and I'm so grateful for what I went through, because, the divorce was very hard. There was cheating, there was lies. And I thought, I'm never, and it was a decade. It was a decade. And I would have never envisioned myself here talking to you, for one thing, being able to talk about it. But when we come out on that other side and we allow and we surrender and we know there's something higher and we know there's that path for us that we've chosen long ago. My thing is, if I can help one person, I'm happy. If I can make, if I plant a seed, I'm happy. And this person that I've truly enveloped and become would have never happened had all those things not happened to me. Had that path had not have had those hardships, I would have never had to look for forgiveness. I would have never understood what self-love is. I would have never allowed messages to come through. And so for me, it's almost like, you can call it a blessing in disguise. Now, wasn't fun at the time, but look at us. We've allowed ourselves to become.
When you say, if I could just make the one person happy, listener, that one person can be you. That one person can be me. I don't need to make or change anybody else. But once I change me, my whole life and experience is different. And so, great if other people end up feeling it or growing from it. But changing you and becoming that person who allows, supports, and accepts is amazing. I had no idea I could be this happy or content. Let's use the word content. I like to say, my goal is to create natural happiness. And someone asked me, what is natural happiness? I go, the one you don't have to fake, the one you don't have to search for external things to make it happen. It happens from inside. It just is. It's like the artesian well. It's just giving you water. And when you want to drink, it's there. And if you want to plug it off, that's fine. It'll stop. But it's there. It's not the one you have to go out and pump really hard to get it up. And so, got to prime the pump and get the water up. That is not natural happiness. Yeah, it makes you happy when you drink. Yeah, but that natural happiness is just there.
And it's a beautiful thing because you've created it. you've created that happiness for yourself. You know, after struggle, after certain things have happened. And one thing that I think if we teach anybody anything, it's that everything comes inside of you. Everything has to come from within. Once you're good with yourself, once you're using those high vibrational words, once you realize your worth, once you realize that you, maybe one thing you say might change someone's life, just to make them feel better. And, you know, I've always told my kids, kindness is free, just be kind. And, you know, it's a process. It's not always instant what we've done and what we've learned. But as we reflect, it was worth every step I had to take to get to this moment where I can talk about things like this and hope that someone either learns something or they feel maybe a little different about themselves, or maybe they understand the power of those words in your field. So be kind to yourself.
Amen. I am so thankful that you joined me on the show today. It's just been, I think I could talk to you for hours, and I know that our listener would be thrilled to listen to us for another hour, because you are so full of amazing insight and wisdom. Thank you for sharing with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Out of time. Can you believe 30 minutes is up already?
No, it goes so fast.
It's just been so fun. But listeners, you know, whatever you can do to turn that light on and allow those words that hold you back, let go of them. And the words that can propel you forward, grasp them and use them. And if you have any kind of doubt on how they make you feel, try it. Try it on. Say, oh, I'm so sorry for being late to this meeting. And then say, thank you for waiting for me, and see which one feels better. And start using the words that make you feel better. Nicole, do you have any last words of wisdom for us?
The one thing I would like everyone to know, regardless of where you are right now in your life, whether you're sad, whether you're happy, you always have the capacity to change, whether it's with your words, whether it's with your visualization or manifestation. I've done it, and I know that it can be done. It's not always easy. It's truly not. But you're so special, you're so smart, and you're so worthy would be the words I would like everybody to remember about themselves. No matter what anyone else has said, it's simply not true. And get those words out of your field and bring in words of positivity, and really start forgiving yourself for anything that you've kept inside of you, and let that forgiveness take you to self-love, which will enhance your life even more.
That was perfect ending. Thank you so much. And as a note from our legal disclaimer, Nicole and I are not medical or mental professionals. We are here for entertainment, people that have gone through some stuff and made it through, and just hoping to inspire others to progress and grow in their lives and to become happy and content. So thank you. And listener, stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss a next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.